So this 21-year-old has been sentenced to more than 170 years in prison, making him one of the youngest serial murderers in the country. So in 2022, a lady called Chiota Narai went missing while working on the streets, and this is her daughter, Nokolo.
Dancing.
She loved life. You knew that your mother was a sex worker. How did that make you feel?
Obviously, that's not something that I can be proud of, but at the end of the day, she's still my mother, and I'm gonna love her with whatsoever she's doing. She was not just my mother, she was my friend. Me and my mom would call each other every 1 hour, 2 hours, just to check up on each other.
But when her mother did not call as usual, they set off immediate alarm. So a few days later, they started to look for her.
To the mortuaries, to the police stations, hospitals, calling people, her friends, telling her, if you see her, if you hear anything from her, please tell us. Walked in the streets.
A month later, after Chiota Narai went missing, the police made a shocking discovery. So, the police found 6 bodies of female sex workers at a penal beaters in Johannesburg, and this led to an investigation. This investigation was led by Captain Saunders, this guy right here.
Our biology unit was there. Dog unit was there to take photos, to take DNA.
So, things were so bad that Captain Saunders had to call in top detective Prince Bonambi to go and examine the crime scene. And this was his reaction when he got to the crime scene.
There was that smell that it stayed with me for months.
And Nokolo's worst fears were confirmed when her mother was found among the victims that were in the crime scene. This is her reaction.
Point, had you accepted that that was umama there and she had passed away? Or are you thinking, yes, umama, uzovela somewhere, she's going to appear, because that was not her?
I didn't accept that she was the one. Just hoping that, okay, one day she's just gonna show up.
And the police prime suspect was the son of the penal beaters owner, Sfiso Mkhwanazi, who was 19 years old at the time. And this is what the captain said about him.
Not a person of speaking a lot of words, very calm, very quiet. He comes as a person very cold.
So every night, Sfiso Mkhwanazi would drive around the streets of Johannesburg at the cover of darkness, looking for vulnerable sex workers that will become his next victims. But one day, one of the sex workers that was working around that time, when Sfiso Mkhwanazi came around to take one of the victims, saw him, and this is what she said.
It's 3 days. I said, it's better to go and report. Like now, I'm very, very scared to go like with a person, with a car.
This camera footage that you see shows Fiso's last victim arriving with him at the panel beaters, suspecting nothing of what's about to happen, as she gets off the car and heads right inside with him. Sfiso has been doing this for over 6 months, lowering different women into this building, taking advantage of the size of this building, making sure that he hid the bodies in areas that were not easy to be found by anyone. Until on October 2022, when one of the cleaners stumbled upon human remains in this building, and she freaked out and called the police immediately. And when the police arrived there, this is what they found.
Decomposed to the last degree. The next one, it was inside a bin, also decomposed. One was at the back of the panel van, and then in a truck there was a body, in a bin also, and there was a complete skeleton body.
On this building, the police also found a completely decomposed skeleton body, which is believed to be Fiso's first ever victim. And on the third floor of this building, there's a room where he hid all these victims, which led to this building known as the slaughterhouse, as you can see.
Even if you are passing by, you want to open, you can't, because there's no door hanging. Only him, he knows how to open. So I think we use a spade to open it or something.
Sfiso kept all his victims tied up, their hands and feet tied up, and he sexually harassed them multiple times before eventually strangling them to that this is horrible what he did to this woman. And if you think that was worse, two of Sfiso's victims were few months pregnant, which were carrying babies that never got a chance to see this world.
There was blood on the floor, a lot of fluid as well, and then there was some underwear. There was human hair. There was a lot of.
On the crime scene, the police found a lot of used and unused condoms, which they were able to later use to connect Sfiso to the murders that took place in the crime scene. As you can see right here, they were able to identify him and link him to the murders. Remember Chiyota Norai, Nokolo's mother, at the beginning of this video? Her case was different because the police found that she was shot in the head, unlike the other victims, which were strangled to death. The police believed that Chiyota Norai was trying to fight and get away, try to escape from Sfiso. This is what the chief of police said.
Maybe she was tough to die. Her hand was only tied in front.
What was the difference with her?
He evaded all of those details. She might have put up a fight with him, and then upon realizing he was losing the fight, then he decided to shoot.
Chiyota Norai's thoughts are not clear. So many questions about Sfiso's action. These were some of her questions.
Why did he do it? What was going through his mind when he was doing what he was doing?
A forensic psychologist, Dr. Karat Lapak, interviewed Sfiso before his trial, and this is what he found.
The sex worker, we did the transaction, there was no fighting, no arguments, no arguing about more money, then she would go home safely. But he said if the sex worker started to argue about money, started to threaten that she's going to call the cops and open up a case if he doesn't pay more, then he knew he was going to end up killing her.
So while Sfiso's actions and motive remain unknown, some believe that his past had a significant impact on what he did to this woman. Because you see, when Sfiso was only 18 years old, he was falsely imprisoned of sexually harassing a sex worker, and he spent 10 months in prison, which some believe that he must have been also sexually abused.
He definitely attributed a lot of weight to the fact that he had this false allegation against him from a previous sex worker that he had picked up for transactional sex. But again, we always say a lot of people have had bad experiences with sex workers, but they don't go over and end up committing serial murder. So something else had to be present internally in his genes, in his brain structure, that perhaps predisposes him to act in that way compared to other people.
Something else has to be present, and also the captain of the police believes so.
I think something happened to him in prison. He's so young, they would rape him there.
But at the end, justice prevailed because Sfiso was sentenced to 6 counts of murder, rape, and to an additional 170 years behind bars, as you can see here in court receiving his judgment. And the police were very happy about this also, as you can see their reaction.
Are you happy with the sentencing?
We had sleepless nights with the captain working on this case, and we've got conviction. So yes, as a police officer, I'm happy. For the family, I'm happy.
But it will never bring that people back. They are gone forever.
Even though justice was served, 3 of the victims up until this day have not been identified, and no families came forward looking for them, and are still in the dark about their whereabouts. But that doesn't stop the ones that found closure take this incident into heart and hold them back about what happened.
All tragedies, he's going to have to take it up with God and not me. Being angry at him, will it bring back my mother? No. So I chose to forget about him, forget about his existence and everything.